Another day of some frustration in the market. You guys can see that we are down $95. I'm going to go ahead and lock the account. I ended up taking 3 trades, so I'll kind of go over. Did I take 3? I'll kind of go over my thought process for some of this stuff, but we have the trade executions. I'll pull up the videos, but we are down $95, so the account is $1,065. Just frustrating again with just the performance today too. I held a really good trade in here. It doesn't look like there's much here, but I'll go over. I kind of got into a position here. I traded with 1 micro. I normally would be done for the day after 2 losses, but I want to just build conviction with different entry models. So I placed an entry with 1 micro, risking $50. I had not lost the 400 yet for the day, so I allowed myself it, right? Again, rules-wise, I want to just be done after 2 trades, but I'm trying to move away from the inverse fair value gap as my only entry, because I just want to get away from it and start trading. Honestly, like more similar to like order block taps, with the confluence of an inverse fair value gap and using other market experience to help me in a trade. So anyways, going into the day, I do believe that price action was a little bit tricky to navigate, and I think and the reason for that is just really after yesterday's trading day. Yesterday was a very big expansion, and this is frustrating here. Hopefully this comes back up, but while this is loading, or I guess it loaded, but while this was loading, I was going to say, any one of you guys have any picks for today's, it's the Bills and the Miami Dolphins. Let your boy know in the comments if you guys have any picks for that game. I might sweat it out with you guys, because I have, I don't actually sports bet, but I use a site called Fliff, and I get free money on there that I use, and I've never put money in, and I'm up pretty heavy over the last 2 years. I've probably made like 1,500 to $2,000, and I've never put $1 in, because I am a degenerate, but I like to win a lot more than I like to lose. That's why I've been trading for a year. I've only and I haven't really lost too much money, is because even though I am degenerate in some aspects, I have decent self-control. So again, if anyone has any picks on that Miami game, let me know, because I'm looking to put something up, get some action on that game. But regardless, back to the point of the video. So we were down $95. Starting the day, just kind of like an overall bias. There isn't really an overall bias when we have from low of day yesterday, a 1,000 point move, or no, this week's been a 1,000 point move. From here to here, we've moved 1,000 points, right? But from yesterday, we had a 756 point run on price yesterday. So when you're in this area, right, we swept this high, we're in the middle of this massive imbalance. I don't have a directional bias, right? So what do we have? We had CPI today, or PPI. We had some news, right? It does not matter to me what the news is. Depends on the red folder and the time, right? And we had a data high. So this was my target going into the day. I wanted to see us take this low, right, and then go higher. So that's exactly what we did. We actually created an SMT off open, right? We took this low on NQ, and ES didn't. So we actually ended up inversing here. In my first entry, I'll pull up the execution, and I'll kind of walk us through there. We had an inverse. We had the new day opening gap as support as well. I honestly don't hate this entry. I hate the second entry that we took. We did actually take a third trade before our test trade, and I'll go over that. So overall, again, just not the greatest day, but, you know, we move on from it. We learn from it. So, you know, it's never going to be the end of the world here. But let me find the execution if I can. Because I have a few. I always start recording, and sometimes I don't get the entry, so it just kind of messes me up. Dang, this trade lost quick. Okay, so I'll kind of walk through what I was looking at to enter here. My main idea on this first one was to Um, so we got the inverse right here, right? This blue box was the inverse. We came up, and this on the 32nd, we make a fair value gap. We actually hold this imbalance here. We had a 1 minute. So if I pull up the chart, we have this inverse here. We make a 1 minute fair value gap here. We retrade back into the new day opening gap. And I wanted to see us have some sort of reaction out of this, right? So when we broke structure to the upside, when we created another imbalance, I wanted to then enter off that. So that was my thought process. So I had my limit order on the order block right here, and I get filled, and I literally instantly lose. Like, it's kind of wild, but so that was the order block I wanted to enter off of, because again, I'm trying to not just enter off inverse fair value gap straight, just inverse all the time now, because I just want to get a better risk to reward on my trades. I kind of want to have a more tight stop loss, and I just don't really know how to do that I don't know how it filled me there. It's just such a glitch, but this trade just instantly runs lower. This was just disheartening to start the morning, because we held this fair value gap, right, and then we create another one and we just run straight through it. I actually do get somewhat unlucky to get stopped here, because it doesn't hit this low. It does not close below the inverse, but it still wouldn't have changed much. So that loss was annoying there. And then let's see, I gotta move that. And then we re-enter a trade a few minutes later, like seconds later. We re-enter on the 32nd, because we held this fair value gap, and I was still just zooming down the data highs. This re-entry is not good, but I understand why I took it, right? I understand why we hold this fair value gap, right, this inverse. I still want the data highs, and I'm just kind of blinded by that, really. I'm just like zoomed in on getting a move, getting into the trade, and I'm trying, like, I don't like the second trade for a lot of reasons, but I understand why I took it. It's an inverse fair value gap. We were holding this price structure, right? There's confluences there, and then it just really just never performs well. It really needed the run here, if anything, and it just does not. And I end up closing the trade, or I get stopped out here, right at the bottom of that. I don't mind that movement because it really should just run. It should be a lot quicker. And that was just a really frustrating and poor start to the morning, because rules-wise, 2 trades and I want to be done, right? 2 losses. We were only down $226 because we managed risk really well, which is a positive from today. But again, taking a loss like that is just frustrating. So here I started a recording. I didn't take the trade. We get an inverse down here. We pull back to this fair value gap, right? We had a 2-minute inverse. That was the setup of the day, and I'll kind of go over that in a second. But then the trade we did take that we made a little bit back on was not a good trade, but it was just like it was more of an ego trade. But I took it here. I got in with 2 micros when we inverse this gap, because then I was confident we were going to go hit this high and then this high. And I should have just left my trade to play out to this high instead of going to break even or scaling at that high. But the trade kind of stalls for a little bit. And then when we get a decent reaction out of the inverse, I actually end up adding to my position right here. Right here we add, I think. I'm not sure. Where do we add? We add too late, it looks like. We add to our position right here, which is a little bit late, right? But then we set our limit just to kind of bring in our profit. That was not smart. And then we hit our first take profit there. So now we're only down 160. And then I could have killed the trade here just to not be super down bad. Be down 111, but I trail my stop. Somewhat unfortunate it doesn't hit that take profit, if I'm being honest. But again, I wasn't doing things, like, I didn't deserve to bank off this trade. And then we get stopped out here at break even. And then it would have ran the high, but that's besides the point. We get stopped there, and that was negative 150. And then, so I'll pull up the chart for this now, real quick. So this would have been the best trade, right? Hindsight, or not even hindsight, but lifetime, this is a better trade. Why is this a better trade? We get an inverse fair value gap. We get an inverse here, right? We swept this low. We actually have some sort of movement, right? This is not right off open. We're in a macro. 950 just opens right here. This is 952, right? This can't. It actually stalls, right? The macro ends around here. This is choppy price action, but if you were to get in, right? If I were to have gotten in on this trade, I could have had a 23-point stop, maybe lower, whatever, right? And then I would have held. I could have taken profit one at this high and gone break even, one at this high, or both at this high, and had a very, very solid day, right? And this is just why, again, proof that you just have to keep your stop loss at break, or not at break even, until we take this high. When we take this high out, right, I don't mind going to break even because you actually have some displacement through the high. You break structure up there. You stalled around here. You should not come back down to your entry. This is a valid break even. If I was in this trade, I might have gone break even when we came back down, right? We got in here. We go up. I might have gone break even if we took this high right here. And then obviously I would get stopped. So that's just more proof that going to break even will hurt me in a lot of situations. So that's a good experience to learn from. But yeah, so this trade I didn't take because I had taken the losses and I just wasn't really sure. I wasn't really comfortable. I don't know. I don't know. But normally I just don't look into trades. So when this starts running, the FOMO in me wanted to then take this inverse right here, which I obviously did take, which is just not a great trade. The RR is not even terrible, right? Like, this is not the worst risk reward ever. Like 25-ish points for 17 for the first target, but then the main target here, like 30 points. Like, it's a 1-to-1, but it's also like a shady 1-to-1. Just nothing I should really be too involved with. And after that, again, and one of the things I do want to mention that because even with some mistakes, right, I am happy with my risk always being fine, right? I never over leveraged. I never just, did a mini contract to make money back. I didn't do any of that, right? I was just, that's one of the things where I'm improving. So even though I'm still making mistakes, I'm still having flaws in my trading, I am improving in that aspect. So I do want to be happy about that and reflect on that and not just be super critical. But then we were having a lot of volatility every time we made a new high. Like, we had a big sell-off, and then big sell-off here. So at this point, I'm not looking to touch anything here, right? This was just noise to me. When we displaced, I wanted to see if we would hold this imbalance and go lower. We never did. We come back up. We don't take this high. This displacement, I don't really care for it. Nothing really intrigues me. But this is when I started to like what I saw. We had displacement we had displacement inversing this gap here after taking the high, which then I drew the standard deviation and it matched up perfectly with this low of day. So then when we got this fair value gap, I was paying attention to what would happen in this imbalance, right? So then we actually, and this is where I got my test trade where I took 1 micro. We end up trading to this imbalance, and then we end up actually creating this to be an order block, right? Right here. And then when we displace lower and we close below this low right here, this now becomes an order block. The best entry I could have had, and it would have been very, very clean, would have been setting my limit for this order block right here. Stop honestly above this high. Maybe you want a looser stop, but you could just have it here and then re-enter if you stop raid. And that would be a really good, and even to this low, that would be a 5 risk reward. Again, this stop is very experience based, but maybe that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to trades like this, right, where I can hit these types of trades where I have a very small stop loss. And that's really what I'm trying to move to. So I took this trade and I held it very good. I held it all the way to here, and I'll go over and I'll show the entry, why I talked through it and kind of my thought process and why I wanted to take this trade. So the main reason I wanted to take this trade was for the fact of one, building conviction with a different setup, right? Because we end up getting the displacement, right? We took the high out. I expect this to maybe go lower, right? Kind of like a range day. So we have a 30-second, we respected the first order block. We made a 30-second order block. I wanted to see price. So as you can see on the 1 minute, we had already came up, rejected. We made a fair value gap and another order block. I had my limit order at this level, and there was significant room to the downside that if I could catch this, right, if I was correct, it would play out well, and I wasn't risking a whole lot. I was only down 150 at this time, right? So I was willing to do this. If this was a live account, I probably would. I wouldn't want to be. This would not be a great habit. But this is, in my opinion, like again, I had a plan for this. I was only really risking about $50. At worst, $83 right there when I dragged my stop up because I just, I wasn't going to re-enter, so I didn't want to get stopped out on like a turtle soup. So I got in the trade, and then this is where I'm happy with what I did. I just was watching price and starting to manage it, right? So I drew in the order block that we entered off of right here on the 30-second, right? It's slightly under the 1 minute entry, would have been a little bit higher up, but that I drew in the first idea. So it was 2 order block confluences after displacement with the fair value gap holding. And I wanted to see these relative equal lows over here get met over here. And that was my main target, and that would put me up on the day. So I like the sizing. The trade starts playing out. We just draw in every confluence, right? We end up inversing the 3 minute. And I have my stop at break even at this point, I think a little early. But the reason for that is I'm testing conviction, right? Because this order block here, this inverse, like these are the things I want to see price hold, right? And I'm not trying to lose on this trade anyways, but I wanted to see just, kind of practice reading price action with actual skin in the game. So then we get a 1 minute fair value gap here, right, that I didn't want to see get taken. So I'll kind of speed through this. This 1 minute fair value gap actually holds very, very well right here twice. So at this point, when it holds twice, I now know that this high, especially after we turtle soup these equal highs, I don't want to see the high come back to at all. I wanted to see us close below these lows with some efficiency and go through this level, right? We're just stalling. But again, I'm drawing out every confluence, right? I'm drawing out all these different things. We come back up to the 1 minute. I want to see us reject. At this point, it's either we flush or we don't. But I'm happy with how I'm holding this, right? I moved my stop loss to break even, and profit, but I'm not, like, I'm letting the trade play out, right? I have this 1 minute now in balance. This is basically where I just want to see either we go or we don't at this point, really. And we hit that break-even point, right, where I definitely wouldn't lose. And at this point, it's just really annoying because at this point, the price comes up to this 1 minute. We end up inversing it, and my stop's in place, but then we get a displacement candle lower. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm now going to trail to this high because we really shouldn't go any higher. We dug into this area here, right? There really should be no reason for price to keep going higher. We're just slow grinding down. Did not like the price action. At this point, we were up $100. We could have just closed it and only been down $45 today, which hindsight obviously would have been nice. But I'm practicing to build the trade. So this 1 minute fair value gap was holding like crazy. I just want to see it close, and then we get a really nice close right here, right? And this is again where price needs to just run. And when you're in winning trades, that's what will happen, right? When you're rewarded, when you're in a good trade, price will run. So we could have only been down $23 at this point. But again, that's not the point. That's not the point of trading. It's not your P&L. It's about managing your trades well. And I was managing this trade well, so I like where my stop is at. At this point, price should not come back up there, in my opinion, or at least I don't want to be part of it. And we're just slow grinding down. And in my eyes, it's just a little bit unfortunate that we have this type of PA. We have a 1 minute fair value gap now that I did want to see hold, and then it does not really hold here. Tries to. The new hour opens up, and then we start running up, and we get stopped out. So then we only lost 90 on the day. But I do really like how I managed that trade. And right, if we got in on this 30-second imbalance here, this order block, so we would be at break even now, and we would have been stopped out regardless. So I do like how we managed the trade. I do like the trade. It makes sense in my head, and I want to start building conviction towards order block entries or fair value gap taps on the lower time frame, because I just think my risk can get better, and I can just have better risk reward overall. But overall, the day was just kind of frustrating. I wish I could have performed better. I wish I took this trade, right? But again, overall, nothing horrible, right? Again, kind of not sticking to my rules in terms of 2 losses and just being done no matter what. But I'm happy with what I did decide to do, which was not letting my emotions play a big factor, right? I didn't just on that testing trade or like that conviction building trade or whatever. I had confluences for it. It's a good setup. And I traded with a low size. I knew my risk. I understood my risk, and I held my trade good. So positives from today for sure. Frustrating to be down. But this is a this is not a day by day thing. This is a month by month, and I'm building the process, building the habits. It will come. It will come. It's honestly, I battle with just doubt and fear and stuff like that a lot with my trading. And I've just got to trust the process, trust in myself, and just trust in what I'm doing. And just let the results come to me, not worry about them, and just show up and execute, right? Tomorrow we show up and we do our job, and hopefully we get rewarded for it. But there's nothing we can do for it, right? It doesn't matter if we win or lose, right? If I do the right things, that's all that I can control. So, again, I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's not a disappointing day, especially to lose. But we learn, and we are getting closer with our psychology. Our psychology is getting closer to where it needs to be. Because I would never been able to have just a $95 losing day. I would probably just sit here and keep trying, and have 100 trades to make sure that, or to try. Like, I used to not be able to have small losing days because I couldn't handle them at all, right? It sounds crazy, like that I'm better at taking big losses, but I used to just sit here and keep trying. And today I kept my head about my decisions and take other trades, right? Looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully there's a good opportunity, and hopefully I follow my rules better. This has been a learning week with my rules. Yesterday we could have done a lot better. And if tomorrow, regardless of the outcome, we're going to regroup for next week, and we're going to kill it next week. It's only positive things from here. Again, I'm very, very self-critical, very negative on myself, very hard on myself, which I think holds me back. So I need to really try and start getting better at not being so negative, not beating myself up so much for mistakes, and really just try and learn and just grow and get better each day. But it's hard to do that because it's very easy to just be very disappointed in yourself, and it's very easy to do things, right, that you shouldn't do. And after my second loss today, I was very furious. So really, the result today is pretty good in all things considered. So I appreciate you guys who watch the videos. We are closing in on 1,750 subscribers to get another quarter in the jar. Again, I really appreciate all you guys that watch these videos. It really is inspiring to see that this account's growing like it is. So hopefully you guys had a good day. Let me know how everything went for you guys in the comments. And feel free to criticize me breaking my rules. But this is a journey, right? Everyone that trades understands the journey, right? So I'm never embarrassed to be honest with my struggles, because I know that the people that really trade, I know they understand what it is like, right? So the people that there's so many people that come into my comments with kind of like an anger and like an animosity of like, oh, why would you, how can you do this? Like, that's so dumb, right? And it's like, I don't know. I'm not saying that, like, you have the freedom to comment whatever you want, but it always blows my mind when people are just so negative, right? When I make mistakes, it's like, it's hurting me. It's not hurting you. Like, why? Like, I don't know. Some people just, I don't know. It's weird. So, again, you can comment whatever you want, but I do recommend that if you are going to comment about my trading, I love advice. I love when people give me good, like a lot of you guys give me great advice. Just know when it's like out of judgment and when it's out of help, right? And again, you can comment whatever you want. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But I just think that for yourself even, right, when you see me make a mistake that you think, wow, how can he make that mistake? I never do that. You probably have a mistake that you do that I never do either, right? And that's just the perspective that people need to have, is that trading looks differently for everyone. And the mistakes that they struggle with, just like in real life, some people have addictions to certain things that other people don't, right? And maybe you can't understand someone that has a substance abuse addiction, right? For that person, like for you might not understand how that's possible, right? But then for someone else, they can't see a way that they don't have that problem. So everyone's unique, everyone's different, right? And that's why trading is hard, is because every problem will be unique. Everything I see in the market is unique, even if we're trading the same concepts. I'll understand things and interpret things differently, and I struggle with different things. So I really do struggle with holding my trades, and I'm not too proud to admit that. I struggle with holding my trades, and I really do struggle to lose. I really do struggle to accept losing. I do struggle to just, and I struggle to look at it as a journey, not a day by day, right? It's hard for me to look at, okay, cool, today's done, we lost, come back tomorrow. I have anxiety about the next days of, will I get an opportunity? Will I be able to make it back? All these different things, right? So those are my three main things I struggle with, which is executing my trades when I'm in them, like holding them properly, right? Not doubting myself, stuff like that. And then it's not spiraling after losses. Yeah, and those are the main things. So if we don't have a negative, if we don't have a negative $1,000 day, right, or a day where we take too many trades and blow the entire balance, then that's improvement, right? I haven't gone a whole month without doing that before, right? So we're slowly getting better each day, even though I know to some of you guys it doesn't look like it. So, and again, this last few minutes is really just me talking to myself, because this is what I need to reflect on, right? And this is where the difference needs to be made, and I am slowly, like I can see slow progress. Again, you guys have saw me drop my size to 200 per trade, right? That's improvement. I've had to drop my size and calm down and just trade less size, right? And be more comfortable in the trade. Friday, I had a great trade. I don't want to forget about Friday. I had a great trade. I held my trade great. Yesterday, I made mistakes, right? And these mistakes are just, they're still there. And once I can solve them, then I'm fine, right? It's not like if I make a mistake today that I can never succeed tomorrow. Like, it's just, okay, cool. I held myself back today. Let me not do that in the future. And that's what I think is hard, is that it feels like everything is the end of the world in that moment, right? It feels like today, right? Today's loss feels like the end of the world. Or, oh my gosh, I'll never win again. Or I'll never find a good trade. Or I don't know what I'm doing. And it really just is a mistake today. It's just, oh, I did the wrong thing. I need to not do that in the future. Okay, why did I do this? What made me have that impulse? What was this? What was that? Whatever. And you just question things, right? You don't have to judge yourself and be like, oh, I'm an idiot. How could I have done this? I should never do this. I should know better. Okay, what made me do this? What made me have the impulse to get into a trade here? What made me not want to take this trade? What made me get out of this trade early? And then you start realizing, okay, fear, doubt, anxiety, whatever, P&L, everything. And then you can really start to get better. And again, I'm at a spot where it's frustrating because I know I can do better. I know I can have good results. Like, I know enough to be making money and be profitable. So that weighs on me, because it's like I know I can be doing better, and it's just like I'm holding myself back. But until I just let go of everything and just do my job and do the things I'm supposed to, then I can actually see the results and reap the benefits of all the hard work I've put in. So I hope you guys can see the improvement that I'm making, and just give me some grace with the mistakes I make, because it does get repetitive, it does get redundant, it does get annoying for you guys to have to watch me do the same things over and over. But we will get there, I promise. And you guys will too, if you guys are in a similar spot. So I will leave you guys with that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we wrap up the week well. Peace.